This is a fun one. The last time my Ford GT was with this stunning GT was about 5 years ago. But here we are, they're back together, and not only that, because over there is a certain McLaren P1 which holds a special place in my heart that I want to talk to you about today. We're meeting up with Justin, JK Whips, here in Fort Worth, Texas, to take a look around this amazing private garage. Cars that are driven, cars that are used, and cars that in multiple cases, for me, are a case of being reunited with things from the past. In fact, when I tell you about these two GTs, it's a pretty cool story. Let's come over to this car, this particular McLaren P1, one of 375 in total that McLaren made, but the Cerberus Pearl car. And the backstory here is that 10 years ago, I spent an extended period in California, filmed some amazing stuff, did some epic adventures, drove an F-Type up Pacific Coast Highway, but this particular car was one that I was desperate to track down. Its then owner, the first owner, CJ Wilson, kindly made that possible back at the time. I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely blown away by it, the opportunity to be up close to this, down in Laguna Beach. This car, though, I actually caught a glimpse of about 2 years ago, but today we're going to take a proper look around it. It's been with Justin for about 4 years in the collection now. It's driven, it's got some amazing stories, it looks phenomenal in this iridescent paintwork. This is a very special P1. When it comes to the GTs, back in October 2018, so 5.5 years ago or so, I went out to Canada to see this being built. I went to Multimatic in Markham, Ontario, outside of Toronto, to go and explore the facility and see my car coming together. And while I wasn't able to walk in with a camera, they did kindly share these photos, which I shared with you at the time. Now, the reason I couldn't just walk in and point a camera anywhere, of course, is to do with other customer cars. And in particular, the car that was next to mine on the line, which of course you've guessed, was this one, being built at the time for IndyCar driver Graham Rahal, who I actually met up with in California the next summer. We took a look around his collection of cars and also of the motorcycles, and then took this out for a drive as well. But these cars have been together when they were built in Canada, they were together in California, and now they're together here in Texas as well, which is really quite cool to have this coming to visit. Hi guys, I'm Shmi, hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're with JK Whips, and I want to talk more about that P1. Justin, how are you doing?
Doing well, welcome.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to come by. What a garage, what a place. This is pretty amazing, it's got to be said.
Thank you. That's, put this together a few years ago. It's real close to the house, and great place to keep the cars, and buddies hang out and share the passion.
And when it comes to cars, I think we're going to come back to that little trifecta over there, because that's quite the view. We've brought in the dark horse right now because the weather outside is particularly atrocious. Seem to have bad luck every time I'm in Texas, actually. It's been snowing, it's been bad, but yeah,
that's
the
Texas.
cars.
Stick around, it'll change in a few minutes.
Yeah, we'll be back to sunshine. Let's talk about what we've got here.
So we got a buddy of mine, his Lotus. It's hitting bring a trailer right now. It's a fun little car, go-kart.
Yeah, definitely.
Go-kart on steroids.
I tell you what, we share the LT in common. I have a 675 LT Spider, but the spec of yours is immense.
Yeah, this was one that I had a 12C when they first came out, and drove the heck out of it, loved the car. Was looking for something new, and you can't get much more rare and special than a roof scoop 675. Napier green, it's an amazing color. I wasn't too sure about it. Had volcano orange, and then we went to Napier, and I love it. Love it. This is a keeper. Probably not going to leave the collection.
I feel exactly the same way. You know, a lot of people who own 675 LTs feel the same. Like, they're really special cars. This was one of, I think it was 5 original launch colors they did for it. But like you said, not a lot of them had scoops.
Short of P1, I think it's one of the best looking McLarens they've done.
Yeah, for sure. And this is quite interesting. You know what? I keep bumping into 430 Scuderia Spider 16Ms, to give it the full name. And I'm really starting to be quite attracted to them. They're cool things.
It's a fun car. This one here is in Rosso Scuderia. Love the color. A little bit more pop, a little more orange to it than a Rosso Corsa. I always thought when I'd buy my first supercar it was going to be a Scuderia. And, at the time I went with a 12C. So a couple years later, came back, went to the 16M. Probably one of the best sounding cars in the collection. Absolutely love it. And painted stripes.
I was going to say, this is a painted stripe, because that's quite an unusual stripe on the car. It looks amazing. One of 499. It's just a really cool thing. Although the red car next to it is a little bit different.
Totally different. That's back to the high school car. You know, I always wanted a Fox body. My buddies had them. They were racing them around. Mom and Dad said no. So, you know, years later, I went back and bought me a Cobra. Only made in 1993. 240 horsepower. It's peak performance back in the day.
Yeah, but it was what you kind of at the time, right? It was like the car.
It's a fun one to drive still. Light,
Yeah.
smokes the tires everywhere. It's fun.
Perfect. And even, do you know, in the new generation car, they even have the throwback dashboard to the Fox bodies
Yeah.
as well, which is a kind of cool nod, taking in that history. We head back to Europe though, 993.
You know, I grew up an American muscle guy. My dad was Camaros and Corvettes and American muscle cars. He bought a 83 SC maybe like 10 years ago. First Porsche I'd ever ridden in, and was overwhelmed with it. I mean, an 83 Corvette was horrible. You wouldn't want to drive one today, but you know, an 83 SC still a great performing car, a great driver. So, you know, Bad Boys, the movie, was kind of like that high school era for me. This is a little bit newer. This is a 97 Turbo S. The Turbo S is really rare. Bought this off of Bring a Trailer about 5-6 years ago, and it's got a ton of miles on it, so I can drive it without a care in the world and take it to Home Depot, run errands in it, and drive it. Who can say that about a Turbo S?
Yeah, and I should probably add, you do drive all of your cars. Hearing all of the different stories, what you've done with the different cars is amazing.
Yeah, the drive is such a big important piece for me.
So we've got to talk about this. We've got to talk about the Ford GT. The colorway of this car is amazing. When you first saw this, was it like, I have to have that one? Was that kind of...
Yeah, so little background is I went to TCU, Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, and our school colors are purple. So ever since I'm a purple guy. If you got a car in purple, I'm a buyer. So let me know. Graham Rahal had this car. We talked about it, tried to sell it to me. I kept waffling back and forth, and he finally put it on Bring a Trailer same weekend as it ended the same weekend as Indy 500. So I went up, was at the race to watch Graham run, and this was ending on Bring a Trailer. I won the auction and had it ever since. Love the spec, love the car.
So Graham basically
amazing.
Pulled back into the pits, and you're like, yeah, I bought your car.
Yeah, he'd pull in and ask where the auction was at, and he'd go out and make a couple more laps, come back in, and finally the last time he came around, I was like, I won, I got the car. So yeah, it was pretty neat. Every time you look at it, it never gets old. New angles, vents, so cool.
I really, really like seeing these back together. Just knowing that, you know, third place a very long way from either of the other two places. They were side by side. And yeah, I mean, we keep on the American theme going on from here.
Yeah, American muscle car. So Corvettes. Dad had a 78 pace car in high school. That was probably the first Corvette I ever driven. You know, 67 big block is the epitome of Corvette muscle car in that era. Solid lifters, 435 horsepower. Tracked this one down. It's a funny story. I bought this on Bring a Trailer as well.
Yeah.
Well, bidding on cars at Mecum.
Really?
Sitting at the Mecum auction.
Yeah.
And had my iPad up with the Bring a Trailer auction going too.
It's a bug, isn't it?
Yeah.
The online car auctions, it's a bug. But the story about the Camaro, this is a special car. This is the kind of story I love.
Yeah, this one's special to me, my family. My dad, you know, obviously the car passion came from my dad. This car was my dad's high school car. So we knew the VIN. Over the years, we've moved a lot. He was served in the military, and he was always, you know, selling a car before we'd move to the next station. And this was the one he talked about the most. And a couple years ago, he was going through cancer, and still around, still made it through, but needed something to pick him up. And this was one of the ones that he's always talked about the most. Got lucky, found the car. It was for sale. Had been through a rotisserie restoration. You know, bought the car. Fortunate enough to be able to buy it. Bought it, took it down to his house, surprised him with it, and yeah, been driving it ever since and enjoying it.
That is the most amazing thing. The look on his face must have been priceless.
Yeah, pretty special.
To see that again.
Pretty special, and you know, pretty exciting to be able to do something like that. It's cool.
Really, really cool. The Heritage GT.
What more can you say? It's,
yeah.
You know, the iconic amazing color scheme. I always wanted one. Got the newer GT first, and later bought this maybe about a year ago. Always wanted one. COVID prices went crazy.
Yeah, they did.
Such an analog drive. Just pure joy to drive. It's not going to overwhelm you with power or anything, but it's classic.
Isn't it amazing how different they are, though? Like the supercharged V8 manual 100th anniversary celebration to the race car that is the new one.
Yeah, totally different drives. Technology, everything. This one's like
analog, everything.
Old school manual, analog. Yeah, technology in these is amazing. They're pretty neat, pretty special to be able to drive them both back to back.
Yeah.
And take them out and all. So yeah, that's a cool car.
Very special experience. The R8's a little bit different.
R8, yeah. This is actually so not mine, a buddy's R8 GT. Last of the R8s, rear wheel drive, lighter weight.
End of the V10. It's crazy.
Sounds amazing. I haven't had a chance to drive it much. 100 miles. Someone needs to drive it.
We need to get it out there. Past the Corvette.
First car I bought out of college.
Oh, really?
Corvette guy. Yeah, I graduated.
Have you owned it all the way through?
I've owned it. It's an 03. I bought an 05. I've owned it ever since.
Wow.
I did a lot of autocross, SCCA racing, Crescent Motorsports Track, Eagles Canyon. It's got some extra work done to it. It's got a big 427 in it, C5R block. It's a cool car. Tons of torque.
Yeah.
570 foot-pounds of torque to the wheels.
Okay.
It's yeah. You drive it, steer it with the throttle.
It's all about the fun.
Big cam, big lope. Fun car.
Very different though, although equally exciting.
Oh,
Carrera GT.
yeah.
Was this one of those posters cars for you? Was this like a one-day car?
Yeah, it was. It was, always wanted one. This one, interesting story. I think probably like September of 19, I wanted an F40 and I wanted a CGT. Have a local buddy, he was selling his yellow car, and we couldn't come to a price agreement on it. So moved on, and I bought an F40. Got an F40. It's amazing. But so about 6 months later, it was like time for something else. So I grabbed the CGT, and man, it's an awesome car. Straight piped.
Oh, it's straight piped.
Straight piped.
Okay, we know what that means.
We put some Olins on it. Just recently for Rennsport, this past year, we sent it out. We shipped this one and a couple friends 993s and Porsche 911s to Vegas, and we road tripped this from Vegas up to Mammoth Lakes.
Yeah.
The next morning, woke up, drove through Yosemite, and then all the way down to Laguna Seca. I think we put 1,000 miles on it in 2 days.
Wow.
Top off the whole way.
That's
blast
so
through
cool.
The desert, up through the mountains. It was epic drive, and that kind of drive, you really get to appreciate the car for what's design and the capabilities of it. It was a pretty epic trip.
All meanwhile with a straight pipe V10
Screaming.
What a thing.
Yes.
What a thing.
Beautiful.
I make no secret, I love Carrera GTs. I'm just jealous that I kind of missed the boat a little bit before prices skyrocketed.
I missed it too, but I got an F40, so.
Yeah, they make a good pair.
Won that one, lost this one.
Before we come to the P1, TDF is a new purchase, recent acquisition?
Yeah, recent purchase for me. Always loved it. It's, reminds me a lot of like Corvette C5, that long hood, short rear end. TDF, iconic, V12, rear wheel drive. The vents on the back fenders.
Yeah. That
big exposed fuel cap. I think probably one of the sexiest parts of the car, designs to it. I love some red interior.
Have you done much driving with it? It's a feisty thing.
I haven't yet. It's
it'll be fun.
It's fun. It surprisingly puts the power down pretty well. It screams. I
think it's one of the best limited series Ferraris, to be honest, that they've actually made.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I could have found an 812 comp. We'll look back and forth, but I think this is probably.
I think you made the right
most
choice.
Beautiful ones. Yeah.
And in a similar power, Escalade V.
In Texas, we have our trucks and our SUVs, and obnoxious, loud. That
thing is absolutely massive.
It's great. Put 6 friends in it and 700 horsepower. Almost. What more do you need?
Yeah, it does the job perfectly.
Yeah.
This, however, is a special car. back when the P1 came out, it was so unbelievably futuristic. And, you know, we stand here now surrounded by some pretty amazing things, right? And this is a 10-year-old car. And it still looks every part like it could have just launched yesterday.
Agreed.
And it's sitting down there in race mode, the lower suspension, the wing up. You've got to just look at it, just stand here and stare at it, right? It's just the way the colors go. Was it kind of like you were looking for any P1 and this one happened to be out there? Or was it like this car and this color, this combo?
I never thought I'd own a P1. I knew about the car. Car was delivered in Dallas. You know, CJ Wilson played for the Rangers. Everyone knew about the car. You know, probably the most photoed P1.
Yeah, back at the time. And he took I remember when he took his photos, he collected it here, right, and drove it back.
Took delivery here and drove it back to, Grand Canyon. There's photos all over the Grand Canyon.
He shared those amazing photos, and the whole world just went, wow.
So I knew about the car. I knew it was out there. Always loved it. You know, had an opportunity a few years ago when it came up for sale to jump on it, and man, it's amazing. Done some epic road trips in it.
You've already
a couple years ago after the McLaren rally, we sent it to Chicago and had it serviced up there, and then drove it back from Chicago via the tail of the Dragon back to Texas.
Back to here. That's
miles.
Not direct.
Yeah.
Down from Chicago to Tennessee.
Chicago to, we went by Beck Motorsports and, you know, Indianapolis, but the whole goal was to get to the Dragon. So we did the Dragon and Nashville and then back to Texas. I think we did 1,800 miles, 4 days.
In a P1.
No speeding tickets.
Nicely done. Very smooth. Well
22 miles per gallon.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Can I be very cheeky? Can we start it and pull it forwards and grab the key?
Yes, we can. Yeah, let's do that.
There's something about the theatre of this. Doors popping open. Oh, the colours as well. I'm going to sneak in at the back because 3.8 litre twin turbo V8, which sounds mega. Cold start of the P1, obviously in race mode, but it's the way the colours flip-flop as it moves that really stand out. That's what's quite so impressive. Like from here, it basically looks bronzy orange, whereas if you go straight to it, it almost goes blue. Look at that. Look at that. What a car. What a car. That is stunning. That is so nice to see out here. You know what I tell you? It does sound good, doesn't it?
It does. It never gets old. All the noises.
The wheels were originally painted this color, weren't they, as well? To kind of match with the
they were gold.
Paint scheme.
Got a set of black HREs on it too. I think the black HREs are a little mean, give it a little more aggressive look, but general consensus out there is everyone loves the gold better.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes with the colors because you see so much gold in the paint, and you've got the liveries on as well because you've done a couple of the McLaren rallies and things.
Yeah, so last year, McLaren Rally Pebble Beach was the 60th anniversary. So I like the Kiwi. It was kind of cool with the 60th logo in it. We left those on for now and drive a car.
We've crossed paths a couple of times with our mutual friend, Supercar Stephen, whose P1 I actually drove out at Car Week one year as well. It's even got the badge back here. I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah, so this is really unique badge. There's not, so the P1 badge is special on the other side, but the Bruce McLaren Heritage badge is very rare. Something that was on it, CJ Wilson did. It's a very cool badge.
Because the P1 Heritage badge, to look like the F1 badge, that's not normally there. There's normally nothing there.
That's extra. Yeah,
it's normally got the P1 logo on here,
right,
on the engine cover. So the funny thing with this, a lot of people don't realize this, there's no way to access the engine yourself. You have to go to the dealer because they have to take the whole clamp off. I'm sure you had to deal with a couple of years of servicing and things while you've been driving it. God, down in race mode, it just looks so good from back here. That wing. Have you ever tracked it?
I have.
Where have you driven it?
Motorsports Ranch in Eagles Canyon, both here in the DFW area. Been on Coda, always fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Car's amazing. It's, 903 horsepower. It'll spin the tires at 90 miles an hour on the freeway. It's a beast.
It's not necessarily what you want. You've got the orange seat belts. Interior, I guess, is kept fairly sensible from a spec point of view.
Yeah, you know the carbon fiber is just amazing though. The shapes on the dash and the curves, everything. We've got a painted starter button. I added that a little bit later on. It's got the Cerberus Pearl starter button on it. Give a little dress.
That's a nice little detail. This was so far ahead of its time. Even the interior, to be honest. Okay, maybe the screen would have got slightly larger by now, but the interior of this could still pass for a car that comes out now. That's one of the amazing things. The technology, things like DRS, which flattens out the wing, the iPass system. All of this is like, I mean, just future tech that McLaren delivered to the world 11 years ago. It was late 2012 they first presented it. Time is flying by. 12 years ago now.
Timeless design for sure, though. It's still every bit as beautiful, and performance still on par with anything that's out there now.
Yeah, it's the trick of gently dropping the door.
Gently dropping the door.
Whenever you have a passenger or a friend coming out and you see them go to drop it from up above, you just have that wince moment.
The doors are surprisingly heavy.
Yeah.
And it catches people off guard, and last thing you want to do is replace a piece of glass on the roof and all. But yeah,
it's a lot of glass. I just find the design mega, and it's an exciting time because we know the successor is coming soon. We don't know too much about it at this stage, but it won't be too long until the world is able to witness what McLaren do in the next generation.
It'll be exciting what the performance does on them. The next envelope, like how much more can they push it? I mean, 765s are running 9.5 second quarter miles. Like, how much faster can they be?
So you've kind of got, there's the Holy Trinity, right, of the P1, the LaFerrari, the 918. You've kind of created your own, in a way, Holy Trinity, but of different driving experiences. Because you've obviously got the mid-engined hybrid supercar, you've got the naturally aspirated V12 front-mid GT, and you've got the V10 convertible supercar. I like that little gathering of three cars that you've parked up there.
I think for me, it's the drive. And so when I looked at them and we were looking at, what's next or what's in the collection, it's always been about the drive. And not here today. I mean, and really the third one in is the F40.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty special car.
Yeah. What more can you say? I actually drove one.
Have you?
I've just driven one a week or so ago.
What you think?
I mean, I've been lucky to drive them a few times. It's always a special experience. Like you realize how far ahead of its time it was. Fastest car in the world back at the time. Just how iconic the looks are. It's a poster car for so many people now, in the same way that this probably can be for almost the next generation. I'd forgotten as well. It's also got the Heritage front badge.
Yep.
Sorry for the sidetrack on the topic. The paint color is just.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's so many people think it's a wrap. When you see the wrap next to the paint, though, it's obvious, and there's a depth to it. It's amazing. Talking to some of the McLaren guys, like one of the most difficult things about doing this color on the car is the amount of body work that goes into it ahead of time. The body's got to be totally flat. If there was a drip or a run in the paint or the body, you'd see a different color in the middle of the panel pop up. And
it's the equivalent.
It's going to be totally flat to be uniform.
What you see on the edges, if you had any kind of run on the paint, it would show as blue where it's bronze. It would just look completely off. Yeah. Oh, it's so cool to see this car again. Love
the speed mark, in the back fenders, with the carbon fiber inside and all. Cool touch, kind of miss that at some angles, but
the McLaren logo shapes that you kind of have these swooshes all around it.
I like the different carbon fiber weaves. You have the 1x1 twill, I think, here, and then you have the bigger weave down in there. It's down in this part here. It's kind of a
for the internal parts. I'd never really thought about that. Or not recently.
It's also in the door jambs. Down around here, up here on the.
It's kind of the 1x1 for the pretty finishing parts, the interior.
Yeah.
And then the rawer look for the functional parts. That dashboard is so cool. Everything about it's so cool.
This one's got a unique you don't see on a lot of them too. It's I don't know if you can see it, but the harness plate back here.
Oh yeah.
It's got the MSO badges, but this harness plate's got the P1 logo in it. It's titanium.
I don't think I ever noticed that before. Was that an option?
Yeah.
It's not that many people went for it really.
Yeah, I haven't seen it on any myself, but yeah, pretty cool.
This was one of those times where I just had to share it with you. A low-key video, just taking a look around with Justin at the cars. But for me, there are so many memories and things. You have to think back 10 years ago when I was running around with a camera filming videos. it was a car like this that was just the ultimate. To, in any world, be able to see that and to be able to shoot some content with that. Okay, yeah, the video has 100 and something thousand views, but from 10 years ago, that was oddly probably easier than it is now. That's a different topic. But this car just, I don't know, it represents so much. And then obviously the personal thing as well of the whole thing behind this Ford GT. Never did I think, when I couldn't film this car at Multimatic, and I was so desperate to share a video of it with you, that the reason was going to be the cars that were surrounding me. And here we are again for a third time seeing this one. It's a derivative of Lamborghini's Viola Pacife. It's called Deep Purple, the paint color, with the silver stripes. And you can tell the paint's a little bit different. There's a little bit more silver, I feel, in it compared to the Lamborghinis, and obviously different paint suppliers and things, which is quite an interesting topic when it comes to these cars, because obviously they're painted here in the US and there's different rules compared to Europe. But yeah, really cool setup. Lovely lounge and chill out area as well here. Just the kind of garage of dreams, and an amazing mix of cars, like a 993 and a Fox body, 16M 675, and then some of the hypers and the classic Americans with the Corvette and the Camaro, the older Ford GT, and some other really nice stuff around. So I'd like to say a big thanks to Justin, JK Whips, for the opportunity to visit today and for showing us around the garage, to come and be reunited with these two very special cars. And like I said, two cars that are very close to my heart. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. That is it for this time though, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.